Hello, Fearless Warriors. Welcome back. This is episode 185. We are going to be kicking off the month of February all about love. We're going to be starting out with a definition of love. What does love actually really mean? And what does it look like? But let me ask you a question. Have you been struggling with love? Whether it's self love, loving yourself, whether it is trusting and believing that you will find that special someone in your life. So make sure that you have your pen and paper ready because we are going to be diving in. And again, we are talking all about love in the month of February. So, first, let me give you the dictionary definition of love. It is an intense feeling of affection. Also, it states that a great interest and pleasure in something. Those are nouns. And let's talk about a verb. So, when it comes to the word love, as far as a verb, it states feel deep affection for someone or like or enjoy very much. So, do any of those resonate with you? When you think about the word love, especially now, the month of February, where it does not matter what store you walk into, and maybe even on social media, it doesn't matter what you look at, you are going to be seeing pinks and reds and hearts and teddy bears and chocolate. When you think about love or the month of February, what do you feel? And why do you feel that? Now I want to share the biblical definition of love. And while Fearless Fridays with Marianne is not a Christian podcast, we do talk about God frequently. I am a faith based woman. I am a God fearing woman. So we love Jesus around here. So according to, the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, it states that love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. So, you heard the definition per the dictionary and the biblical definition of love. So, which one do you resonate with more and why? So, my definition when I talk about love, to me, is a combination of both. It's what the Bible said. It's kind. It does not hold record of wrongdoings. But I think, going to lead a little bit deeper when it comes to love, to me is being there unconditionally for someone, no matter whether you agree with them on something, whether you disagree, whether you have the same likes, whether you share the same dislikes, or whether there's some contradiction, whether, you don't always have to agree with someone when it comes to love. I want to share a little bit of from my first book anthology that I did in 2016. And if you're seeing this on social media or on YouTube, you're seeing that I am holding up the copy of my first anthology project, which is W.O.M.B Sister Chronicles, and W.O.M.B stands for Women Overcoming Men Blues. And my chapter is called Relationship Junkie. And I just want to share a little snippet of my chapter. Sometimes I wish he was. And I'm talking about that this particular individual was never physically abusive. So I probably should start reading from from the sentence before that. He was never physically abusive. Sometimes I wish he was. Bruises fade. Words stay forever. The mental and emotional abuse went from bad to worse, as it always does. At first, the words were subtle. Those pants are cute, but too tight. Go change. Or, Give me your phone. Who are you talking to? And gradually the words went to, you're not leaving the house wearing that. Or who are you trying to look good for? Or I don't like that girl. You need to stop hanging out with those friends of yours. I'm all that you need. I tried leaving several times, but I always came back. I was convinced that no one will want a divorced woman with 3 children. It wasn't until early fall of 2007 that I had had enough. So, the reason why I share that with you is because when it comes to love, we all have our definitions of what love means. We all have our own interpretations of what love means and what it should look like. So, I want to ask you, what were some of your examples of love growing up? Was there affection between your parents or those that raised you? Were you hugged as a child? Were you told the words that you were loved? Were you supported? Were you constantly, not constantly, but were you praised? Were you acknowledged in a positive and reassuring way? And if you are someone that you were raised in that way and you experienced those things as a child, I will probably say that maybe you grew up having healthy boundaries around love. Hopefully you did, because it seems that you probably had it all together as far as what love would look like, that it was healthy, that it was, uplifting, it was encouraging. I unfortunately did not have those examples of love growing up. I struggled with abandonment issues. I struggled with feeling rejected and neglected, which is what fear stands for me. Feeling empty, abandoned, and rejected. And we'll talk about that a little deeper later on. But not having the right, I guess, the right picture or a positive, definition of what love would look like, I struggled. And for me, it was more of if someone showed me attention because I felt that that was a sign of love, I immediately clinged on and latched onto that person. And again, when you're stepping into a relationship with opened and unhealed wounds, you don't notice certain things, or you might actually notice certain things, but you push them off to the side. You convince yourself that some of those red flags are pink and things like that. Um, and you might feel or talk yourself into, it's better for me to deal with these things that are going on than to be by myself. And for me, I struggled with that. I struggled with confidence. I struggled with setting boundaries. I struggled with being by myself. I always felt that, I needed to be in a relationship because I craved attention, because I craved belonging. I craved being a part of something. So for me, love just, it was crazy. Um, then I have the best relationships growing up, when I started dating and things like that, which we'll talk about that again later on. And I have shared different aspects of my life in the different anthologies that I have done, that I have been a part of, such as the first story that you heard me read a little bit of in there. Um, so all that to say that when it comes to love, sometimes when you have had failed relationships, whether it's through marriage or whether it's a relationship, platonic relationship that you have had, whether it's friendships and things like that, if you have had a history of unhealthiness, you probably have some healing that you need to do. And I'm not talking about just relationships with a significant other. Again, even when it comes to friendships, sometimes we fall out with friends and things like that. So for me, I have had that unfortunately happen. I have had friendships that for whatever reason we have stopped talking. it always seemed to be one sided, whereas I always seem to be the one that's reaching out to individuals, whether it's sending them a text, whether it's sending them an email. Hey, how are you? What's going on? And then, oh, hey, how are you? We need to get together. But then when you send out a couple of, dates, couple of options, those dates don't work. And then when you follow up again and you trying to like, hey, let's get together. Oh, it's so busy and things like that. Like I have so much going on. And here's the thing that when it comes to friendships, that type of love, just like any type of love, any type of relationship, whether it's platonic, a marriage, friendship, whatever, it takes both sides for the relationship to work or for the relationship to fall apart. It cannot be just one sided. It cannot be just one person trying to make it work. It cannot be just one person trying to get together, always making the plans, always reaching out. Because if it's an important relationship for that individual, they're going to reach out. They're going to make you a priority. They're going to make that relationship a priority. They're going to work to make it work and things like that. So you have to ask yourself, because this is not about putting yourself in a situation that you're going to get hurt anymore. No, that's not what we're here for. We are here to heal. Um, so if you have a falling out with someone and you miss the person, ask yourself some questions. Ask yourself, what is it about this, relationship or this individual that I miss? You know, do I miss talking to them because they, in their own way, they were encouraging and supportive to me? Or do I miss bouncing off ideas because they were a good person for me to brainstorm with? Ask yourself some of these questions. What is it about this situation, this relationship, this friendship that I miss? And if you miss something that makes sense, reach out to that person. Say, hey, we haven't spoken in a while. We'll love to connect and catch up. I am open, and give them 2 or 3 dates. If these don't work for you, let me know when it's a good time for you, and I will work my calendar around your availability, because again, I will love to catch up. Give it, 48 to 72 hours. Honestly, I wouldn't give it more than 2 to 3 days, because again, if you are important, if your relationship was important to them, they would make it work. They would reach out. They would say, yes, this day and time works. Let's get together. Or that doesn't work, but here are some options. Let's connect and things like that. And if it doesn't work, then it's probably best to just let it go. You have done the best that you can. You have reached out. And again, relationships takes two people for it to work. So when if you do connect with the individual, and you have the conversations and you discuss where the breakdown happened and things like that, just own up to what you're responsible for and let them take responsibility for their actions. you know don't try to be a martyr, don't try to take the blame for everything, and don't try to be responsible for everything, because again, it takes two for a relationship to work. And unfortunately, things may not always go back to how they were before the fallout occurred. Again, I have had this happen. Um, just a relationship that I have been friends with the individual for years. There was three of us. One got an attitude, caught feelings, and the more I thought about it, it was like, do I really miss this relationship, and why? Or why not? And I really didn't. So I never reached out to the person. I didn't try to seek them out to figure out what happened or to reconcile. I just let it go. Now, the other individual, I did miss that individual. We did connect. We actually went out a couple of times, but it was just never the same. It was never the same. And even when we showed up in, similar places, in events and things like that, we will cordially, say hi, say hello, and things like that. But it was just never the same. And I'm not going to write that person out, because, life is life, and people sometimes do get busy. But again, the way I see it is we all have 24 hours in a day. And I make what's important to me on the forefront before anything else and things like that. So, going back to relationships, going back to love. Love does not hurt. Love does not accuse. Love is not jealous. Love does not gaslight you. Love does not hit. Love does not hurt. You are going to have disagreements with someone, but there's a difference between having a disagreement and then coming back together and talking about that disagreement versus someone making you feel that your thoughts, your actions, your words, that you as a whole individual do not matter, that your thoughts, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations do not matter, that the only thing that you should be preoccupied with is their dreams, their goals, their aspirations, their life, and things like that. And once upon a time, there was a time when I was consumed by different people, that their goals became my goals, their dreams became my dreams, their wishes, their desires became my wishes and my desires. And slowly, what I wanted in life, the things that I had wanted to accomplish and put out there, slowly started disappearing to the point that I no longer recognized myself, and to the point that I didn't even know what I wanted in life. Even their debt became my debt. That's how I saw what I thought love was like, that you just become one with that individual. And I'm here to tell you, no, that is not the case. Even in a marriage, that two become one. Yes, two become one as far as being one union, but you are still you. You are still a separate individual. Your partner is still a separate individual. So what they want should not overshadow and overtake what you want, just like what you want should not overshadow what they want and what they desire. There needs to be some form of compromise. And if you are always the one compromising, then I will suggest that you look at your relationship, do an assessment of your relationship. So, before we start to wrap it up, I want to share with you about a workshop that is going to be coming out. If you are someone that has desire to write a book, if you are hoping to write a book, it is called the hold on one second, let me get that. It is the Bold Writers Live Memoir Mavens Workshop. It is a 2-day workshop on March 7th and 8th, being put together by Coach Ebony Nicole Smith here in Rochester, New York. And this is during World History Month, Women's History Month. And this event is organized again by Ebony Nicole Smith Consulting and is designed to teach women how to write and publish their memoirs. The purpose: to equip women with the tools they need to power their desires to tell their stories, boldly, filled with passion, and driven purpose. Who is this for? For women who have a story to tell but are unsure of how to begin and are seeking the guidance needed and deserved to pull together from their hearts. What you will learn: brainstorming and outlining your memoir, structuring and pacing your narrative, editing and refining your work, steps to publish and market your memoir. More information can be found at ebonynicolesmith.com, and I will have this in the show notes. So, thank you so much for joining me. We talked about the definition of love from the dictionary's perspective. We talked about the definition of love from the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. And we talked a little bit about my definition of love. Stay tuned for next week when I will be dedicating next week's episode to my husband, James, and you will have to tune in to learn about why. Remember that you are a priority, you are fearless, you are fabulous, and make sure that you share this with a friend or two. I will see you here next week.